Good day, fellow deal makers. Welcome to the Deal Scout. On today's show, we're going to have a conversation about land. Now, before we hit record, I got to spend some time with Brent in the green room, and one of the things he said is land and doing these kind of deals is the easiest way that he's found to make money in real estate, and we want to learn about that today on today's show. So, Brent, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Josh.
So it's Brent Bowers. Did I pronounce your last name right?
You got it. Yeah, you can't really mess that one up.
Nice, nice. I always like to do a soft, question to make sure that make me sound smart. But Brent, uh, reading through some of your background, you were in the military and land probably wasn't even in your forefront. So kind of first of all, thank you for your service in the military, serving and protecting us. Tell us a little bit about who you are and your journey getting into this kind of deals.
Yeah, and you're right. Land was not in my forefront. I'd always heard land, you can't make money with it. It takes money out of your pocket. But yeah, actually started out in real estate in 2007. Got my real estate license, bought that first rental property, and ultimately got my lunch handed to me in 2009. I had ended up moving in with my in-laws, couldn't afford to pay my rent anymore. Uh, it was tough on me, and I got it between my two ears that I wasn't going to make it in real estate because I saw people getting out of the business that had been 30 years or so. And I was like, well, who am I if I think I'm going to succeed at this? And ultimately, I was looking for another option. I'm going to go back to school. How am I going to do that? I'm going to get the military to pay for it. I tried to join the Air Force, wasn't smart enough for them. Had a little bit of a background. I got into a fight when I was 18 years old and had a little bit of a record. And apparently the Air Force doesn't like that. They don't like fighters. So the Air Force recruiter was kind enough to say, go next door. Army will take anybody. And I'm coachable. So I did it. I went next door and was in basic training 3 months later. Did a couple combat deployments to Afghanistan, lost a marriage, and ultimately the Army saw something into me and sent me to be an Army officer. So I'm going back to school in 2013, bought the house next to the college, got back into real estate, met the beautiful woman of my dreams that I'm married to today. We got married, had a couple kids, and guess what? History started repeating itself. I was preparing for the third combat deployment, training up, not seeing my family, and I was looking desperately like a cat clawing out of its way of a box to get out of the military because I lost the passion for it. I was always gone, and I didn't want another marriage to fail. And I feel like history repeats itself, and like I was nervous, so I had a huge why. And I was desperately searching for answers, like listening to the Deal Scout podcast, but heard a guy talking about land. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know you could do that with land. So I immediately set out and just started searching for it. And we could talk about how I did that today and give some actionable advice for your audience, anybody that's looking for something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm working on a few land deals myself, so I have a lot to learn. I've done some land development into duplexes and such like that, but that was a lot of work. I had to dig the footers. We bought the land, we raised the money, dug footers, I floated trusses. Right, I did it in sunny Florida. I did all the hard work. It sounds like your way might be a little easier, so I'm taking notes. Talk to us
Yeah,
about
you're a
land
wild
deals.
animal. I couldn't even
I've
tell
been
you what a
told that
footer is.
before. You're
No.
not the first person who said that. That's interesting. All right, go ahead. So tell us why your land deals are better. What does that look like?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I don't know if it's better, but it's kind of, I'm going to buy lazymanland.com. And I probably shouldn't have said that because it's probably taken now. But this is a lazy man's business. And I don't call myself a lazy person. I'm a go-getter. I'm also a go-giver from the book. It's an amazing book, but I keep it really simple with land. I'm not developing it. I'm not subdividing it. How have I done developments and subdivides? Yes. But that's like, those are my, once a year or once every 2 year type when I get a little crazy and shiny object syndrome. And I always partner with smart people that know how to do that. But basically I keep it simple. I buy land at a massive discount and turn around and sell it for a little bit more. Like that's the end of the podcast. I don't have anything else to share. It's kind of
Thank you
like,
for listening into the Deal Scout today.
yeah, no, it's that simple. And I hate I'm not, I don't want to overcomplicate this. Like land investing is very simple. Land investors trying to overcomplicate it. But this has been around since the first plot of land was in existence or subdivided. this was before houses. This is before apartment complexes, because it starts with the land. This is a very old business. It's just now starting to get talked about, and there's no HGTV channel to make it sexy and cool. But really, you could do this with bicycles. You drive down the road, you see a bicycle on the side of the road, you pick it up, you air up the tires, you wash it, and you sell it for more. That's all we're doing. We're sending letters to landowners in areas where land is in demand. How do you know if it's in demand? You look at Zillow, you look at Redfin, and you click the sold button, and then you look at the last 3 months, because things have been changing in the real estate industry in the last like 6 months. So this is recession proof, because we're only looking, maybe 30 days to 90 days out for comparable land sales. But if you see those red dots on Redfin or the yellow dots on Zillow, those are the solds, that tells you there's people buying land in that area. And you can click on those parcels and see, okay, that's half acre, half acre, half acre, 1 acre, half acre. Okay, looks like the half acres are in high demand in that area. Let's mail every landowner that owns half acres in this area and see if they would take our offer, our discounted offer, get rid of their land. Maybe they inherited it. Maybe they bought it 20 years ago. Maybe their Uncle Bob, they couldn't stand and left it to them. And there's no emotion attached to it. Like, they didn't live in the house and raise all 3 of their children and, never replace the carpet, never paint the house. And we're always told our house is our biggest investment, unless you're listening to Robert Kiyosaki. So what do investments do? They increase in value. So I need to sell it for more. But land, they let it go sometimes. And 99 out of 100 people are not going to let you, buy their land from them at a discount. But it only takes one. And you just got to figure out how many letters you got to send. My numbers right now are about 800 letters to get one yes. And they sign it and send it back to me. They sign that letter. And that makes me about $10,000 net profit on each one of those. So it costs me about $600 to send 800 letters to make 10 grand. So you just know those numbers. And then it's like, oh, that's like $10 for every letter I make. So it changes the dynamic of it on a psychological level. But I just gave a lot right there. I'm sure I'll talk all day. I'm passionate about this. Land improved my life. It made my life better. If I can help one person.
Unimproved land improved your life.
Right?
I
love that. I'm going to make some content around
that. No, that's mine.
That's
I trademarked that. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll drop your name. Don't worry.
This one crazy cat, Josh, on the Deal Scout. So let's go through the math of this, right? 800 letters to get to one yes. Most people will stop at 100. Most people won't even think about sending 800, right? Because it's $600, and they're like, oh, like, I'm going to send this out. Nobody's going to respond. It's just going to get spam. But you build a list. So maybe you could give us some insights on building lists. Because that's valuable. But you've kind of got this down to process. $600, dollars, 800 letters to get to one yes to make 10K net. How many 10K nets do I want to make? Work your way backwards. All right. I want to make $1 million. That means I need to do 100 of these deals. Did I do the math right?
Something You did it right.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Hey, right. So smart guy. So, okay. So that means I need to send 8,000 letters. No, 80,000 letters. So you're sending 80,000 letters if you're going to make $1 million. No?
Well, okay. So I am not sending that much. I'm sending 300 to 500 a week.
Wow.
And I've been doing that for several years. So it's like at an old farmhouse pump. And I'll give Zig Ziglar the credit for this, because someone said Zig Ziglar said this many years ago, and he's older than I am. So I assume, he should take the credit for this. But that pump, you got to pump it and pump it and pump it. And then the air gets out of the line, and finally water comes. And once you get the water coming out, you can slow it down. Now, that's my average deal. Some deals we make 20. I got one on my board over here. We're going to make about 102,000.
Yeah.
So they all average out. And here's the thing. I sell most of these on seller financing. We've got one paying off on Friday that I had none of my own money into. And our net profit's a little over $175,000 on it. So I like seller financing. So the banks have it figured out. They're the biggest, prettiest building in pretty much every city in every state. It's because they know 30-year mortgages with compounding interest. The average loan back in 2009 was like $200,000 at 6% interest, which, funny, my friend just bought a house today, or not today, but the other day. and it's 6% interest, his loan. So $200,000 loan at 6% interest, you pay back 430 grand over 30 years. So each one of these, we're usually collecting more on interest than what we sold it for. So that's how you get the passive income. That's how you make millions of dollars in this business. And oh, by the way, a lot of that land appreciated too.
So you're not dealing with tenants or toilets unless they're throwing porta pots out there and throwing a Woodstock, right? But
Yeah.
primarily it's undeveloped.
Burning Man.
Yeah. But no tenants, no toilets, no 3 a.m. calls, no evictions. How many, give me an idea of how many deals or what kind of volume have you done since you've been doing this?
Yeah. So I've done a little over, I'd say about 500 land deals at this point. And we've got 69 parcels of land paying us right now. We collected 22,000 in payments for the month of February. That's before we flipped any parcels. That's before we assigned our contract or wholesaled any parcels. A lot of people are familiar with wholesaling houses. You can wholesale land too. It's the same exact thing. So yeah, I prefer the passive income because every time I do a land deal, it's going to pay me for at least 5 to 30 years. And sometimes here, let me talk about the negative stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes these guys will, go for, a year, maybe 2 years, and they'll make payments, and then life happens for them. Things change, divorces or whatever. We're not going to move to Colorado now, and they no longer want the land. And sometimes they'll stop paying it. Sometimes they'll communicate with us, and I can tell them how to sell it, get their money back. But sometimes we have to take these back. So about 1 out of every 15 or so, I take back, unfortunately, and I'm usually profitable on it and sell it for a little bit more.
Yeah. Interesting. So when someone buys land for you on with seller finance, they're they're essentially not allowed to go throw a mobile home on it or a house on it until they clear it with you, right? Or what are the
Exactly.
rules of this game?
Yeah, I don't let them build on it. I'll let them improve the land. I'll let them put a well and not septic, well, electric, fence, culvert, things like that. If they want to build a home on it, I just say that they have to get written permission first, and preferably, I just like for them to have a little bit more money into the land because I don't want them to walk away from it. But everyone wants to build. They all have one day maybe plans. So I'm open to that, but I don't let them put their head there at night unless they have quite a bit of money into. Like, I want them to have skin in the game because it's so land. You're not regulated, and I'm no CPA or attorney, so check this out in your state. But you're not regulated by RESPA. You're not regulated by Dodd-Frank or any of that kind of stuff. But when you start allowing people to sleep there at night and live there on the land, you're coming into a different ball game. And it's harder to kick someone out of their home than it is off of a vacant raw piece of land. Like one time, the worst thing I ever had happen on a piece of land is I had land in a metropolitan area in Colorado. It was in old Colorado, or it was in Colorado City, Colorado. And I still do land deals down there. But I got a call from the metropolitan district, and they said, "What in the heck? This land you own, there's like a gypsy camp on it. There was multiple tents, and they had the refrigerator and the generators." And I called the people and I said, "Hey, that's not allowed." And she said, "Well, we want a refund because we thought we can live on it." So I gave her a refund after she got everything off the land. But yeah, we don't really allow them to live on it.
Wow. All right. So when people are buying land from you, right? When you flip it to them, you say, "Hey, if you'd like, you could do seller finance, but here are my stipulations." And they go, "That's fine. We're just looking to hold some land. We're going to build in the future." If they go, "Well, we kind of want, we want to buy this land from you, but we want to build a house." At that point, you just say, "Okay, cool. Go get a bank loan and you just buy this land outright." Is that right?
That's exactly what's happened. So they'll make payments for a year or two. And what's really cool is a 30-year mortgage, like the first 10 years is like front end loaded interest. So it's basically almost interest only payments. And then they go and get that bank loan from Bank of America, construction loan, and they pay the little old land owner off because they don't want to be a junior lien to me. So
Yeah.
I get all the cash and move it to the next one.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to these kind of projects, I know you're not a CPA and we're not going to do tax, advice and such like that, but you make 10 grand and then you roll it into the next property. At what point do you have to get weird with taxes where doing a 1031 exchange, or you're trying to figure out something like that. I'm not a tax guy at all. That's why I have a guy.
No, I'm not doing 1031 exchanges on land. One I have, I might do it because it's like in the millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But I do. What's really cool is the IRS gives us this worksheet that we fill out for each vacant raw land parcel, as long as there's absolutely no improvements, and I mean not even a culvert. You can. It's a worksheet you got to fill out every year for the exact amount you've collected, and you only get taxed on that amount. And it's ordinary income. So right now I'm paying like, if I make $100, I pay $32.
Okay.
So it depends what tax bracket you're in. So there's hardly any tax benefits with land. So I love meeting guys like you because I'll take my land income and like, hey, I want to be a very small partner on this, 20 unit apartment complex. If you need some cash, or we'll buy a house, a lake house. We have to buy a certain amount each year, buildings, because the IRS allows us to do cost segregations and depreciation. And the bigger the building and the more expensive it is, the better. We bought our office and rented that out. So little things like that give us tax benefits, but land, you don't really have any tax benefits.
Where are you guys located? Where's home?
I live in Florida now. I started this in Colorado when I was stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado, and that's where I did the first couple land deals. And then I started doing land deals in Florida with my father, because he was kind of my boots on ground, and all over the place. Now we got Arizona, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Connecticut. I didn't even realize we got a piece of land in Connecticut. We got free land the other day. I didn't know about it until we got a code violation because someone moved the trailer on it. So I was like, where'd this land come from? And my
No
acquisition
kidding.
manager said, yeah, we got that for free.
How did you get free land?
Oh, it's happened like probably 10 times. One time, someone sold us a piece of land in Pennsylvania. It was actually 4 parcels. He inherited it. He said, just send me a pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon. And I was like, well, how much is Pabst Blue Ribbon? So I sent him $8. So I guess he bought 2 packs with that. But I kid you not, like, one man's trash can turn into another man's treasure. I've bought swampland. I've bought wetlands. I love my competitors because they avoid wetlands sometimes. I buy unbuildable land or not accessible landlocked land, because guess who wants it? The neighbors. Like, there are so many ways to make money with land.
Wow. I this is so cool because I first of all, I love running the show, the Deal Scout, because it allows my visionary brain to go, how could I implement, the things that I'm learning from my guests into my own business? And I love this because, we love traveling. I love, camping. I love all these things. Like, I love being outdoors, and like I love looking at land. I love land. And this is something I could probably do from anywhere in the world. With having duplexes and single family houses and such like that, sometimes I got to show up, and I don't want to show up. So I appreciate you inspiring me and helping me think differently.
No, you're so right. You can totally do this from anywhere in the world. We were just in Wisconsin last week. Next week we're going to our lake house, and the following week I'll be in Tampa at a mastermind. So like, there's no location. And I'm on another men's mastermind, and the guy just bought a school bus, and it's hitting all
Yes.
the ski locations across the United States. And I was like, oh my God, I could do that, but I would probably go crazy because I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's geography freedom as well. I mentioned passive income freedom, or time freedom, financial freedom, geography freedom.
Mm, so good, dude. So let's talk about list building, right? So we're like, okay, we found an area. Let's go hunt for some land. How do you go about building lists? Give us some tips and tricks, because I'm exploring software. I've got a few of my own. So let's do some comparing
Yeah.
notes.
All right. So I already talked about going to Redfin and Zillow. Those are free services here. I want revenue in the first position. So go to Redfin or Zillow, whoever you prefer. Go to your location. Let's just say you're in Ocala, Florida, and you type in Ocala, Florida. Then you're going to go to the filters, and you're going to hit sold, and then you're going to scroll down a little bit. And this is the same thing for Redfin, same thing for Zillow. You're going to select land only. And then you're going to scroll down to where you can select the time frame. You want to look at the last 3 months. And then there's one more step. Go and hit the X button on Ocala, because you want the boundary to go away because you want to see what's going on outside of it. Then scroll out a little bit and see if you can see any pockets, any hot pockets or hot areas, or we call them the whatever, the hot zip code in the wholesaling house market. So you're looking for little clusters of red solds on Redfin or yellow dots on Zillow, and you want to click on each one of those and figure out three things. What's the price? What the price is sold for? And you might, if you have listeners in like Texas or the non-disclosure states, it might show you the last listed price. This is where you got to team up with a good, land specialist real estate agent. And I'll tell you how to find that person. So you click on the property. What did it sell for? And it really helps to do this on an Excel spreadsheet or just a legal pad. What did it sell for? How big was it? Acres or square foot. And what you're doing is you're dividing that price that it sold for by how big it is. Now you can see the price per acre it sold for or the price per square foot. And what you're looking is the average. And then the second thing you're looking for is like, what is the in-demand parcel size? Maybe it's half acre. And the third thing, you're going to scroll down a little bit when you click on the parcel of land that sold. You want to see who it was listed by and who it was bought by. And eventually you're going to see a pattern. Bill Brown is the guy that's listing and selling all this land in, Tree Forest, Florida, whatever. I just made that up. So Bill Brown's the guy to call. So basically when you get a parcel of land under contract. All right. So we're talking about list building here. Now, the hot area and the hot parcel size. Now you want to go to Redfin or List Source or, Data Tree, whatever you use, your list provider. And you want to kind of draw a little map. On the map, let's just say it was Lake Avenue and Eagle Avenue and First Street and Fourth Street. You want to draw that polygon or square or rectangle or whatever and search just that area because we're microing this down. We know what the price per square foot is now. We know the in-demand size and the in-demand area. And I want to mail every vacant landowner that owns a half-acre parcel in that area a specific offer letter because I don't want to take a bunch of phone calls. This is a lifestyle business. I'm not trying to get another job. I want to travel. So I'm going to send them a specific offer letter that says, hey, my name is Brent Bowers. I'd like to buy your half acre of land in, Wichita County for $5,734.33. If you accept, sign it, send it back. They fax it back to me. They email it back to me. They mail it back to me. And sometimes they'll call and say like some mean things, or they'll say, is this a scam? And I know I offered too high if they say that. Which it happens. I make mistakes. But if your audience wants a copy of that, we've been triple split testing we call it the land offer letter, the LOL, because we laugh out loud every time we get one sent back because it's a deal. And if your audience wants it, they can go to the landsharks.com/LOL as in land offer letter or laugh out loud. But that's the process. That's how we build the list. And that might seem daunting. But if you micro it down, and today, maybe the half acres and the 5 acre parcels are selling in that area. Well, do the half acres today and the 5 acres tomorrow. Like sometimes I'll mail 20 parcels just in one day. Sometimes I'll mail 2,000. It kind of averages out.
Got it. All right. So you mentioned List Source or Data. What was the other one?
Data Tree, List Source. I like PropStream. That's my go-to.
Yeah, I use them. I use PropStream.
Yeah.
That's one I use. Cool.
You probably have a link that you can share that someone can get a 7-day free trial on it.
Why don't we put yours in the show notes? So like this is something that I use. I use PropStream. I've tried Deal Machine. I've tried a few others. I tried Reonomy. What's Quick something Star, CoStar. I've done all. PropStream I thought was really good. The app, not my favorite. And this is not a paid promotion from them, but they do have good list building skills. So you could share your link with us and we'll give them a free trial or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know if they even pay me, but it's the landsharkslist.com. It's a 7-day free trial. You can pull like 50 records, but here's the trick. You want to set your calendar for 6 days because if you wait to that 7th day, they're going to charge you $99.
Yeah.
So you got to cancel if you're going to cancel.
Awesome,
if you're going to cancel.
Yeah. So this is good, man. So when it comes to your business, right? You've done almost 500 deals. You've probably learned some to-dos and not to-dos. What are some don't do this if you're getting into land investing? Whatever you do, don't do this.
Yeah, I got pretty cocky there in the beginning because I listened to that. Remember, I talked about that podcast. The guy was like doubling his money overnight, and I was like, "There's no way that's possible." So I mailed out the entire. So I went to the tax delinquent list. That's like you can also mail land on the tax delinquent list. You'll get some deals. You run out of that list pretty quickly though. But I mailed the entire tax delinquent list. So I thought it was actually the county held tax lien list. So the land was like not buildable, not accessible, landlocked, just garbage land. Well, these people received basically. I was starting back then with postcards.
Mhm.
It was a simple handwritten postcard, but they received that postcard and my phone blew up. And I was like buying land left and right, but I wasn't running title searches. I was getting quit claim deeds.
Mm.
And I acquired like some land where I was paying like half of the assessed value, which I don't recommend people do that. I recommend, looking at what the actual land is worth, but I didn't know how to comp land that back then. I didn't know Redfin and Zillow existed to do that, but it worked out to where it was 10 cents on the dollar. So it worked out in my favor. So it was like no brainer. So I was just buying this stuff left and right and selling it too, making quick money. Well, I got to moving so fast. Like the first one I bought for $285, I flipped it to a realtor for 5,000. How did I find the realtor? I just called the real estate office that was closest to the land.
Yeah.
Um, like no brainer stuff. The second one I sold with signs. The third one was Craigslist. Well, by about the fifth or the sixth one, I was thinking I had the Midas touch. I was like, everything I touch turns to gold. I can make money on any parcel of land. I had like 20 grand in my bank account, which was crazy for me because I'd never had that much money in my account. I paid off all my credit cards. And then I inherited a piece of land that had $157,000 IRS tax lien on it. I got another one that was bought through, like basically the guy paid the back taxes and took it. It was called a treasurer's deed. So that one was title was clouded. Another one was a huge hole in the ground. I wasn't going and looking at this stuff. I was doing this while I was working my army job, which was like 12, 13-hour days. So I was just like wiring people money and just thinking I was some like, honestly, I thought I was Donald Trump because I was like, he doesn't even have this system. He's not as smart as I am. But I had to kind of slow it down and start doing title searches. Like
Yeah.
for $5, you can get an owner and encumbrance search, like lien searches. And I wasn't even doing that. I started now buying all my land with title insurance, except for the free stuff. But I still at least run a title insurance, or I still at least run a title check on it because you don't want to trade places with someone. So luckily, all that stuff worked itself out. I figured out ways around it, but I would rather not made all those mistakes. And it was an emotional year or so. So run title checks, you know, call the water company in the area and the electric company in the area, make sure there's no past bills that weren't paid. Well, what if there's no electric or water on the property? Well, sometimes there's water taps that they charge you $25 a month for. So
Mhm.
you can inherit problems. So running title searches, calling to make sure bills have been paid, just a couple simple things. And then sending that land specialist realtor out there to go look at it. Maybe you're not in the area. Well, you figure out who's selling the land in that area. They will gladly go look at it for you if you list it with them.
Yeah. All right. So you just said if you list it with them, are you trying to do things off market? Are you going, you buy a piece of property and then you go, okay, cool. There's 23 properties touching it. I'm going to send them a message saying, hey, I just bought the land. Are you interested in selling? Or are you going to try to go to the
Absolutely.
brokers?
So both,
Okay.
both. So I find the brokers don't want to mess with it if it's under like 10,000, the actual sales price. Sometimes they will for like a flat fee. And that's how I started. I started buying the stuff that was $200 or $1,000 and turn it into 10,000. Now I'm trying to do less deals, but bigger spreads.
Right.
And like we just listed one for 1.9 million with a broker. Like that broker has already brought us an offer. Like he is working his butt off. So I used to work really hard to sell this land, like putting it on Craigslist, sending those neighbor letters like you just talked about, putting signs out, Facebook Marketplace. My dad sold like 50 parcels of land with Facebook Marketplace. So I used to do all that, and I had a executive assistant and virtual assistants in like Philippines and places like Mexico doing that for me. But it's way easier when you get like, you know, larger, more expensive parcels and just having the real estate agent list it. And I didn't start there though.
Yeah.
But we all know people with money, even if you don't realize it. Like I didn't realize my mother and father-in-law had hundreds of thousands of dollars they wanted to invest with me until they started seeing what I was doing. We started talking about it more. So
Yeah.
there's people with money.
Yeah, and that's a good way. So I just met with one of my friends this morning. We went to men's Bible study, and then he came back to my studio, and we had a cup of coffee. And I told him my plan, and he's like, "Oh, cool! I like those kind of projects. I'll fund all the cash on it." I was like, "Oh, really?" And then he's like, "And then we'll split the profit." And I didn't
Wow.
ask him for money. This is my friend. He just voluntarily said, "If you find these kind of projects, I'll give you all the money. You do the work or you coordinate it, and we'll split the profit at the end." I was like, "Oh, let's do 100 of these, right? Because it's not my money. I can still leverage my money to find the deals, to put the deals together." So I agree with you. Like I think the limiting belief, and I was firefighter medic, right? You were military, and here we are working our ass off in dangerous situations and such like that. And I had 3 jobs while being a firefighter medic, but here are ways to grow, and you could do these things on the side for military, police, fire. Love you guys. Thank you all for your service, and thank you for what you guys do. These are things that you could be doing on the side hustle. Do you have a lot of people that do this on the side?
Oh yeah. You hit it on the head. FBI agents, military vets, active duty. Like I've got a couple Army captains, literally stationed in places like one guy just got back from Korea, probably made $1 million on the side doing land in command,
Yeah.
actually running a company. You can that definitely do this. Border patrol agent. Uh, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I think one of the limiting beliefs when you work for the government or when you work for these kind of agencies is I don't have the money myself. But there are so many people, there's coaches like you, and there's people out there who want to do these kind of deals. Heck, I'm interested in doing these kind of deals, right? As you're going through this, Brent, man, I'm pumped about this, and I know that we have a mutual friend, Ellis. Shout out to Ellis. You're building some awesome stuff at Kingdom REI. Proud of you, bro. You guys are doing some amazing things in deals and land and such. So let's do this for people who want to connect with you and do a deal or learn more about land. How could they find you? How could they connect?
Yeah, I answer all my text messages or my direct messages on Instagram. It's Brent L as in land Bowers, Brent L Bowers. I do a video each day on TikTok, Brent L Bowers one. And if anybody wants me to, actually hold their hand and show you the ropes, the steps that you can take to build a business that makes you an extra 5 or 10,000 a month in passive income, head on over to thelandsharks.com and schedule a call.
Yeah. Got some more questions for you. I wanted to give you because I know someone's listening and they're like, "Hey, man, let me get in touch with this guy, Josh. Stop talking." So that's why I wanted to give that. But now I want to get a little bit more tactical with you, right?
Let's
So
do it.
I got some money, and I don't want to just be like I don't want to be a pass. I like being in the game, right? So I want to be a part of deals. I like joint ventures. I like syndicating things. I
Mhm.
like I like being in it, right? Because it's fun for me. So for people like me, but I might not have the time or energy to go send a bunch of postcards, flyers, deal with those kind of conversations. Like, do you have a joint venture program? Do you have anything like that? Or are you building that in the future?
Yeah, you know what? I'm having more and more people reach out that have, cash to want to put in on deals. So I'm actually working with several people now, and I'm always interested in doing bigger deals because it's amazing. It takes the same amount of time to make $1 million in land as it does, 100,000. So yeah, I'm starting to do more joint ventures with people that have cash and no time, so I'm absolutely open to that. There's a couple of different ways we structure it. Sometimes people just want to be the lender, and sometimes they want to do what you just said. They want to be a part of the deal. And I'm always open because at the end of the day, I'm really good at finding deals, and I've done a lot of this with my own money for many years, and it's been nice, but it's way more fun to do this with other people.
Yeah, I want to be the bank. I want to lend the money on it and get involved in these properties and maybe even do like my friends doing is split profits or something like that. But you and I are going to stay connected because I want to see these kind of projects and maybe hire you as my coach. Um, Brent, during this interview, we talked about your service. Do you mind if we go there for a minute? Because I think that as deal makers, sometimes we get ourselves into situations, and I'd like to. Do you mind if I go there for a few minutes?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get the nasty, dirty, nitty gritty detail.
Yeah. So, well, I think that this is vital because I think, as deal makers, we get ourselves into things and then we look up and we realize, like I've got my own mission and then I did these deals and then I've got my family and I'm discovering a pattern in deal makers, right? I interview a bunch of deal makers. How have you found maybe balance, or how have you found your way within this? Because you said, I'm not going to lose another marriage. And for all the deal makers out there who are, have commission breath and who are deal junkies like me, like, family is important and I want to make sure that I accomplish my goals, but not at the stake of losing my family. So what did you learn there?
Yeah, I'm always out of balance, always. And I heard something yesterday. I was talking about that men's group I'm in. Um, one of the guys said something to another one of the guys. Is like, yeah, I didn't make it to the gym today, and he was like beating himself up. He's like, I didn't get this done today. I didn't wake up by 4 a.m. And the guy said, let me tell you something. One thing today, you did enough. It says in the Bible, let tomorrow's worries come tomorrow. Like, focus on today. It's the present. So each day I try and figure out where I need to rebalance. It's like my truck. Right now I got 41 pounds of pressure in my left rear tire, 34 in one, 34 in the other, and 36. Like, we're out of balance. Like, that should be like all those air pressures should be the same. But if it's not, who cares? Like, it's not going to wreck the truck. So yeah, sometimes my love life with my wife is out of balance. Sometimes I need to spend more time with my kids. Sometimes I need, like right now, my fitness is really good. Like, I am going to the gym 5 days a week, and on the 6th day, Saturday, I'm doing an activity with my children. Sometimes, business is out of balance. Like, it's like we got to plant in the spring, right? And I'm not a farmer, and there's seasons for everything. Sometimes we go through winter time, sometimes we go through fall. So I just say that, like, just try and, health, wealth, fitness, spiritual, family. Health, wealth, fitness, spiritual, family. And if you have that and you understand it, like, it's always going to be out of balance, but that doesn't give you an excuse to not be trying to rebalance it. Right now I'm taking a class on how to be a better husband, you know. So it's like, and I thought I was a good husband. I thought I was an amazing husband. But I hear in this class, like, oh my God, I'm doing that. Oh no, I said the same exact thing. So we can always be improving. So the way I say to improve is get a coach. I have a physical fitness coach. I now have a marriage coach, and this he's older than me. He's where I want to be. So, yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah,
So,
it did. What you're saying is you invest in things that are important to you. You invest your time in working out. You invest your relationship by getting a coach and by executing it. You're investing in what you think is important. I think for sometimes us as deals guys, like, sometimes we take our eyes off what's important. I don't know, man. That was on my heart, and I just felt like I needed to ask that, because I struggle with that too, man. So, but this show's not about that. This show's about the deals. But I think I think it hit someone, and I'd be curious as to, like, for you fellow deal makers out there, like, how do you keep balance? How do you keep perspective? How do you keep the important things important? So, if you have some insights and you'd like to share them here on the show, or maybe talk about a specific deal, head over to thedealscout.com, fill out a quick form, and maybe we'll get you on the show next. Brent, is there a question I should have asked you that I completely screwed up and did not ask you?
um, I guess a lot of people try and figure out the time juggle. How did you make time for this? Whenever you were working 12 hours a day and you had a newborn baby at home, one thing is just, you know, like, you got a time block. You don't need to eat lunch. Like, you don't need lunch. You don't need Netflix. You don't need get rid of your TV. If you've got time, it should be building your business or building your marriage or, building up your children. So just time block, that's one question is like people used to ask is how the heck do you find time for all this? When I was in the military, it made me super focused. We're always going to have time wasters. But I didn't let people waste my time. It was like, get out of my office. If you don't need something from me, I'm not here to, hang out type thing. I'm here for the mission.
Interesting. Well, Brent, thank you for being on the show. You hang in there. Let's spend some more time in the green room. Fellow deal makers, as always, reach out to our guests. Say thanks for being on the show. Their contact information will be in the show notes below, so you can connect with them directly. Say, hey, heard you on the Deal Scout, and I want to do a deal with you. Hope you guys are having a great day, and we'll talk to you all on the next episode. Bye, everybody.